Have you ever actually stopped to think about the sheer drama hiding inside the stuff we listened to as kids? Like, why on earth would a tiny, innocent-looking butterfly furiously call a transit driver a scoundrel? While today we're taking a beloved nursery rhyme and treating it like the serious, dramatic narrative it really is. We're going to analytically deconstruct it and uncover this wild story of public transit failures, bizarre characters, and some absolutely serious boundary setting. Welcome to This Explainer. I'm so pumped to guide you through this today because we're breaking down the structural genius of the famous Indian nursery rhyme, Titli Udi, which literally translates to the butterfly flew. On the surface, it's just a simple, repetitive song. But when you map it out, it reveals a perfectly structured comedic masterpiece. Let's break down this narrative formula step by step, straight from the source material. Section 1. The Grounded Dilemma. A butterfly that cannot fly. Okay, let's dive into this. Every great story starts with an inciting incident, right? And ours is Titli Udi udna saki, meaning the butterfly flew but could not fly. Think about the massive irony here. We've got a protagonist whose whole identity is literally based on flying, facing an immediate grounding dilemma. She's physically unable to do the one thing she's meant to do. This existential crisis is the engine driving the entire plot. Because she can't fly, she has to commute like the rest of us. This brings us to a highly repetitive, basically algorithmic narrative formula. The source text loops through this exact four-step sequence 3 distinct times. Step 1, she boards a mode of public transit. Step 2, she finds absolutely no seat available. Step 3, totally overwhelmed, she bursts into tears. And Step 4, when the driver inevitably notices and offers help, she sharply rejects it. Once you spot this structure, you realize you're looking at a literal masterclass in comedic repetition. Section 2. Escalating transit. From local to international. So our grounded butterfly doesn't just throw in the towel. She actually scales up her ambitions. In verse 1, she boards a bus, your standard local commute. But when that fails, does she decide to just walk? No way. In verse 2, she upgrades to a train, moving straight to regional transit. And when that fails, verse 3 reveals she goes straight for an international airplane. The comedic escalation here is just fantastic. She's a tiny insect who can't fly, and she escalates her public transit choices all the way up to commercial aviation. Section 3. The Seating Crisis, a Predictable Breakdown. Now, escalating the mode of transport definitely doesn't solve her fundamental problem. We're looking at the sheer statistical tragedy of her commute here. 3 vehicles boarded, 0 seats found. The text explicitly tells us time and time again, seat na mili, no seat found. And the direct, immediate consequence of this awful seating infrastructure is always exactly the same. Rone lagi. She started crying. Honestly, it's a super relatable breakdown. Anyone who's ever been stuck on a crowded bus or train during rush hour completely understands why this poor butterfly is in tears. Section 4. The Cast of Drivers. Unlikely Helpers. In every single verse, her crying obviously attracts some attention. And the drivers who witness her distress and invite her over, they become increasingly wonderfully bizarre. On the bus, it's just a standard driver, presumably a human guy. But when she gets on the train, the driver is a bundar, a monkey. And by the time she boards the airplane, the pilot trying to coax her over is a khargosh, a rabbit. The text just effortlessly shifts from mundane reality to utter surrealism, giving us a monkey running a locomotive and a rabbit flying a commercial jet. Section 5. The Ultimate Rejection, Setting Boundaries. So regardless of whether the driver is a human, a monkey, or a literal rabbit, they all invite her to sit near them. And this brings us to the climax of each verse, her iconic, sassy, and totally unwavering response. The text says, she replies, "Hut badmash," which translates to, "Go away, scoundrel." She doesn't politely decline. She doesn't just say, "No, thank you." She instantly, aggressively sets a firm boundary and labels every single driver who offers her a seat a scoundrel. It's an incredibly assertive moment for a crying protagonist who couldn't even find a seat a second earlier. And get this, she doesn't just call them a scoundrel and leave it at that. She follows it right up with her final, consistent justification for ending the whole interaction. Mera ghar hai paas, meaning my house is near. She shuts down the scoundrel driver by confidently stating that she's basically almost home anyway. From a narrative perspective, this line is absolute brilliance, because it cleanly resets the loop. She shuts down the interaction and bam, we immediately cut to the next verse where she's boarding an entirely new, much bigger vehicle. Which leaves us with this final, glorious contradiction to ponder. If her house was truly so close that she could use it as an excuse to reject the driver, Why did she try to board a bus, then a train, and then an entire airplane in the first place? It's a delightful, logical absurdity that makes this text so incredibly fun to pull apart. Was she just joyriding? Was she avoiding walking at all costs? Whatever her true motives might be, this little butterfly certainly knows how to make a commute dramatic. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. I really hope this structural breakdown gives you a whole new appreciation for the hidden depths of this classic rhyme.